You're listening to Business Stories with Ryan Arcaracci, where I speak to business professionals from all walks of life. Thanks for listening, and let's get to it. Welcome back to a new episode of the Business Stories podcast. And if you know me, you know that I love boba tea, bubble tea, whatever you want to call it. It's a big popular item recently in the last few years. More and more bubble tea places are popping up. So I'm excited to talk to Loana Perez. She is the founder of TeaCupFuls, an emerging franchise brand in the bubble tea space. And it looks like it's a really fun brand. I like all the stuff you're doing, Loana. So thank you for being here. Tell us a little bit about the history, what inspired you to start this. How did this thing really kick off?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
So it was founded in 2017 and it actually started as a hobby. It was nothing, we never planned for it to be what it is today. It was the side project. We had another company that was doing really well. And my husband and I, we weren't really working the company. We're working about 10 hours a week. And so I said, this is not working. I'm extremely bored. I need something to do.
Yeah.
We had two little kids that were in school at the time. And so shortly after we funded TeaCupFuls, and it started off as, like I said, a hobby, and it was a place for our kids to come and hang out, bring their friends after school, and we wanted it to be fun and exciting. So that's when we incorporated cotton candy and things on top of our drinks. And by 2018, we opened our second store, and it just kind of started snowballing after that. It kept continuing to grow. Then we were approached. By several different franchise reps about, becoming a franchise. And at the time, I was like, I had no idea what a franchise was. I didn't understand the concept. You think franchise, you think McDonald's, right? And I was like, we
Right.
are not McDonald's. We are a small mom and pop shop. Had no idea. We started looking into it more and more. And in 2022, we ended up selling our other company. And again, we are not the type of people who just sit around and do nothing.
Yeah.
Even having our stores, it just was not enough. It didn't, push us enough. And so that's when we decided to take the leap and franchise TeaCupFuls. And it's been an adventure ever since. I mean, I'm sure as you know, especially coming into franchising, I know you're a pro, but I'm still new, so I'm still learning a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely been keeping us busy, and we're just blown away by how accepted we've been by the community and how much it's grown.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about what that first store was like. You said it was really inspired by your kids, just, wanting to have something to try out, and really it's something fun for them too. What was that first store like? I mean, how did you grow from a hobby into this? And it sounds like there's a lot of innovation there.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of learning curves, a lot of mistakes. We actually started it to be kind of like a coffee style cafe. We had food, and then our boba was on the side. It was just something new, fun, and exciting that we wanted to introduce to the community, but never thought it was going to be the main star. So it was, slowly as time progressed, we started noticing, okay, well, our boba is the number one seller. Our coffee does okay. But it costs a lot more to make. And then the same with our food, the food costs and stuff. So we slowly started cutting things out that we realized we're not selling as well as the boba. And that's kind of how it started. And then we started focusing more on the boba, and it's just, it was crazy. Lots and lots of learning, lots of mistakes. And still till this day, we will have people who will come in and want our waffles or something that we had back in the day that we no longer carry.
Hmm.
Um, and so we kind of dialed it in, started watching the costs of things, started, seeing where all the money and revenue is being made at. And then we were able to, develop and grow bigger.
This type of industry and this type of market there's a high demand for it, but there's also a lot of saturation, right? So, what do you think you had to do to separate yourselves? I'm just looking at the videos in your website. I've seen kind of how you've put a lot of thought into the logo design, the color, even the visual appeal of the product itself. Where did that all get inspired from? How did you figure out how to be innovative and separate yourselves from all the other similar brands out there with this?
Yeah, sure. So I definitely knew we wanted to be different.
Yeah.
Didn't want to be the same. We've tried boba all over the place, and of course, there's better ones than others, and whatnot. And so that's kind of where our toppings came in when we wanted to be fun and exciting. We wanted to be a place of celebration. So we started topping things with cotton candy, suckers and Pocky and things like that. And then big foodie. I love food. It's anybody who knows me knows. And I know that everybody eats with their eyes. So you're going to
Yeah.
look at something and even if it's not the best, if it's beautiful, somebody wants to buy it, right? So that's kind of when our visuals started coming in and how we make our ombre colored drinks. And not only that, but what also separates us from our competition, and I know it sounds very cliche, but it's so hard to come by anymore, is our customer service.
Yeah.
It's huge. So our employees are trained in customer service. That's our number one thing. If a product's wrong or made incorrectly or the customer's not satisfied, we're gonna fix it. We're gonna make sure that they're happy when they leave. They have these giant smiles on their faces. We get to know our customers. We have a 10-4 rule where we're able to greet customers and make eye contact with them within 10 feet, and we'll greet them within four. All of our employees are trained on that, and that's the biggest thing. It really doesn't matter to us if they are wonderful employees and they come in and they clean the store and they make the drinks perfectly, but if their customer service is off, they won't be working here.
Yeah.
Um, so we are very, very old school with that. So our toppings definitely set us apart, but our customer service is our number one. And even now, when I go and travel, I try other people's boba places. We always want to, see what else is out there, what's new and up and coming. And still to this day, I've never ever been into another boba place where they've had good customer service.
Yeah. Yeah. That, I mean, I think that's really important because I feel like, for me, I would go out like with family in California, and we would go out, and it would always be a fun thing to do to get everybody together. Hey, let's go get some boba. It's just a fun thing to do. And if it's part of a family experience, and if you don't have that customer service, it's just a drag, I think.
Yeah.
The customer service matches the product, and having a good experience is sometimes even more important than having a good product. So I think that's really important. Walk us through a little bit about how you design, your drinks, and what kind of thought process goes into developing not just the visuals, but also the ingredients and all of that too, Loana.
Sure. So in the beginning, like I said, there was a lot of trial and error,
Yeah.
and I was very strong-headed. So I thought all my drinks were going to be perfect. All of my taste buds were perfect.
Yeah.
We had a huge lineup of different drinks. And as time progressed, I realized I can't do it on my own.
Yeah.
So, and not everybody has the same taste as me. So we started implementing drinks from our staff. So we have staff favorites and things. So what we do twice a year now, at least a minimum of twice a year, is we get together and we try drinks that have basically become popular over time based off of what our staff has recommended to customers. And so we do test all of our drinks and then we change our menus frequently. And for example, there's a few drinks on our menu right now that I'm not a fan of, um, but our customers and our staff just love it. So I've definitely had to open up my horizons, expand that a little bit.
Yeah.
And and that was a little bit tough for me because, as a founder, you almost feel insulted when people are like, "Oh, this isn't that great, but this is better if you change it to this." And you're like, "What do you mean?"
Right.
Oh, so
Yeah.
I had to definitely learn to listen to other people, and listen to, what they have to say and try their drinks and be open-minded. And so now it's not just all about Lana's strengths and I'm the
Yeah.
best and I make the best.
Right.
I've definitely had to grow and learn, from others as well. So I think it takes an amazing team that really backs it up to, implement new drinks and keep, everything fresh.
I think that's one of the things I want to ask you about too is challenges, right? Challenges growing, I think, is part of it is you're growing your brand, but you're also growing as a person too, because you have to learn to let things go and really listen to others, listen to your customers and your staff. So what other unique challenges did you face growing in this brand? Obviously, you're working with family or your husband. That can be challenging sometimes too, trying to manage, being married, but also running a business. So talk to us about some of the hurdles or the mountains you've had to overcome as you grow.
I definitely think the biggest one was being open-minded to other people's ideas. That was really difficult for me.
Yeah,
And then oddly enough, it's almost in a way having to share. So when
yeah,
I sold my first franchise, you would think you'd be so excited, you're so excited you sold your first franchise, you're expanding, it's great. I almost felt brokenhearted. Like I
mhm,
didn't really want to share my brand.
yeah,
And going into franchising, you tell yourself, you have to share. they're the new owners of this location. But when it actually happens, it just feels different.
Yeah.
And so I had a really hard time with that. I wasn't open to sharing. Now that we have a lot more other stores, I'm getting, better at it, obviously,
Yeah.
and I've come to terms with it. But it was really difficult for me, believe it or not. I just, understanding that I was walking into somebody else's store and this is their baby, and but they have my logo on things, and
Yeah.
they want this way, but I don't want it that way. I want it this way because that's not how we do things. And so just really having to be open-minded and listening to our franchisees and their perspective of things, and that's definitely been a challenge. It's taken a long time for me to accept things like that, but it's
Yeah.
been good. It's just internally I struggled with that a lot.
Do you feel like it's because you're kind of letting it go a little bit and you kind of lose control as a founder? I think you love having control and it's kind of hard to let that go. Do you think that's really at the core of that?
Oh, absolutely. I'm for sure a control freak.
Yeah.
So that was really hard. And don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, everyone remains in brand compliance and we have all of our fun documents like everybody else. And it's been great. But internally, yeah, for sure. I feel like I kind of had to let go a little bit and lose a little bit of that control. And to me, it felt almost like a breakup. I put on a good show during grand opening, and I smiled and I was
Yeah.
excited. But inside, I was kind of sad. It was
Yeah.
just very weird. I'm just a weird person.
No, you're just an entrepreneur. I get it. I mean, it's hard to let go, but I think if you look at it as it's still you, it's still your brand. It's just an extension, right? It's an extension and it's good that you're growing like that. So tell us a little bit about the franchisee process. Who do you look for in a good franchisee, and what is the process like to open up a store and go through that?
Yeah. So, I'm not really a salesperson, so we
Yeah.
don't really sell our franchises. We get to know somebody. So I really just reach out to people who reach out to us, I guess I should say. I just get on, a call with them, get to know them, what they're looking for. And the biggest thing that I'm looking for in them is that a lot of our goals are going to be aligned, that they're not looking for just one store, they're looking to expand that past one store. They want to grow and they want to create generational wealth, excuse me. That's something that I'm definitely looking for, or somebody who's an investor who has, wants to invest for their daughter's behalf or, create a dream of having their own business. I definitely want to help them make that dream come true, but I think it's very important that our goals align and that we're able to see things the same way.
Hmm.
Uh, if I have somebody on the phone who just tells me everything that they want to do and change and whatnot, that's probably not the person that we're looking for. So as long as, like I said, our goals align, we have the same ideas of expansion, and their excitement too. If you're just looking to make money, it's probably not the place for you. We want you to be excited about the brand. We want, you to wake up in the morning and be stoked to go into your stores. We're very loud, fun, and outgoing. And like I said, our brand, our customer service, and we take that to, corporate as well. It's not just in our stores. So if you're just looking for an investment just to make some money and don't really care about the brand itself, it's probably not going to fit.
Hmm. Hmm. And so if someone does decide, hey, this is a good fit, and you decide they're a good fit for the brand, walk us through the process, the time it takes to get set up, and also, the value behind it, what they can look forward to in the future if they work hard and they stick to it. Tell us a little bit about that too.
Yeah, so we get on a couple of different phone calls in the beginning just to get to know one another, and then we kind of go through our FGD, and then from that point on, we kind of talk. And then the most important thing for me is making sure that we have our brand discovery day. So whether it's virtual or in store, I obviously would prefer in store because I think it's important to try our product. I would never want somebody to invest in something and then come to find out later they just hate it.
Yeah.
Uh, I've never had that, but you never know. Like again, everybody has different tastes.
Yeah.
So getting on that discovery call basically, and I would say time wise, it's really up to the potential franchisee. Ultimately, if it's somebody who's looking to move really quickly, we can get, from start to finish and get, the FDD signed. We can get it done in 45 days or so. If,
Hmm.
they're wanting to think about it a little bit longer, we're not very pushy people, so we're going to take as long as they want. So I've signed franchisees, as quick as 30 to 45 days. and I've signed franchisees that take 6 months because they need some more time to
Yeah.
think. And then from that point on, we just, go into our process of introducing them to real estate and our brand standards and all of that. So we're definitely there to hold our franchisees' hands along the way completely. We're also making sure that we're supporting them after the fact, so they're able to call in. We have mandatory meetings that they have to attend, so they're up to date with all of our brands. And then we're constantly checking on them. So we will visit the store 3 times within the first year, to make sure that they're, getting all their questions answered. Because there's going to be things even after training that they're not going to remember. And even though
Yep.
we have forms that they can reflect back to, they're still going to be like, well, how long do we cook this? Or how long do we do that?
Yeah.
Or why does it look like that? And then that's when we're there to answer those questions for them. So we definitely make sure that we're holding hands. We are very,
Yeah.
very tight with our franchisees.
In regards to culture, you talked a little bit about how you're kind of you have fun, you're loud and all that. Can you kind of nail down what the culture is like for the brand? Because people listening may want to know, hey, is this something that I would be a fit for? Would this fit sort of my personality or my values? Can you tell us a little bit about how you kind of define that for your brand?
Yeah, so we're definitely that Instagram worthy type of place where kids want to come in. They think it's so cool. I mean, it's so awesome when we walk down the street wearing a TeaCupFuls sweater and people are like, "Oh my gosh, I love that place."
Hmm.
So we're that fun Instagram hangout teenage party place. But with that being said, we also have drinks and things that, the older generation likes as well. So for me, I like to have just plain green tea with some honey, and
Yeah.
I can get that from my store. But then my kids want to go in and they want these souped up drinks with 5 different bobas and jellies and cotton candy and
Yeah.
all of that fun stuff. And we can do that too. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a fun environment. We try to be as drama free as possible. We just don't have time and energy for it.
Yeah.
One of our slogans in house is that we remain with positivity.
Yeah.
Uh, we're a very, very positive, fun work environment. And so that for us has really helped with recruiting staff. We get applications all the time they come through, of people wanting to work in the stores, and then lots of other people wanting to learn about the brand. And every time I even work my stores occasionally. I like to make sure that everything's how it is, and so every time I'm in there, we always are getting compliments about how fun and friendly we are, and that's the type of things that obviously motivates us to keep doing it and remain, friendly and outgoing and outbeat. And we also play kind of loud music, so it's kind of like a party.
What kind of music are you playing? Is it like heavy metal or is it alternative or what is it?
Uh, we try to switch it up. So we have brand music that's allowed to be played. So we have
Yeah.
about over 200 different stations. So we kind of leave it up to our Boba baristas to decide what kind of mood they're in that day.
Okay.
Play PG,
Yeah.
but it's not uncommon to come into one of our stores and some of our staff is dancing and singing behind the line while making
Yeah.
drinks. We just, we're highly caffeinated and very over the top,
Yeah.
in our personalities. So
Yeah. That's good. What advice can you share other people listening who have a business or are thinking about franchising, or maybe they are franchised or just starting out? I mean, you've learned a lot growing in this industry. What's some of the nuggets you can share as a founder with those people listening who want to learn more about how to build a successful brand like yours?
the biggest thing that I can tell anybody is don't quit.
Yeah.
Don't quit. There's going to be nights that are so tough. There's going to be days where you don't sleep, you're worried.
Yeah.
My very first time I assigned my first franchisee, I couldn't sleep. I didn't know what was going on. I wasn't sure if I was doing it right. I was nervous. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I feel like with especially going into franchising, coming from just, a basic mom and pop business type of thing, there's a lot. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of hurdles that you're going to overcome.
Yep.
And there's going to be lots of times where you're thinking, is this for me? Do I want to do
Right.
this? Did I
Right.
make the right decision? But you just got to keep pushing.
Yeah.
Our very first year, we actually hired a consultant company who kind of took over all of our sales for the first year, year and a half. They promised me the world. We spent lots of money on them. And we were like, oh my gosh, we're going to have 10 franchisees at the end of the year because
Hmm.
they said they could do this and that.
Yeah.
We poured money into it. And after that, we didn't have no franchisees. We're out a bunch of money. And I took that time and I said, I don't know. I don't know if I want to keep doing this. My husband was like looking at our bank account, scared to death, and he said, I don't know if we made the right choice.
Right.
And um, at that time, I actually ended up firing that consultant company and I took over the sales myself. And again, I'm not a pushy salesperson. I'm not going to force you to do anything.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you about the brand. I'm going to tell you about the good, bad, and the ugly. And from that point, things started to change and things started to look up. But if I would have quit, obviously, we wouldn't have the success that we have today. And I'm not
Yeah.
going to say that mindset of, quitting doesn't happen because it does.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But just do it. Think about it, sure. Cry about it. Keep going.
Yeah. Well, you make a good point. I think resiliency and persistence and determination is all a part of growth. And as long as you can stick with it and can maintain that grit, you can do anything. So, and I think you made a good point about being authentic when you're with the brand and not selling the brand, but really just guiding people through the process, but being authentic. Because I think people push away when someone is salesy and too pushy. And I think it sounds like with you, you understand that it's good to be real and authentic and honest. And that's going to persuade people more than just trying to push the brand in their face. So I think that's a good point. As we kind of wrap this up, Luana, I want to ask you too. I mean, obviously, you decided to work with Client Tether as a franchise sales automation tool. Why us? What's the experience been like for you with us?
Honestly, I love it. I worked with Client Tether through the consulting company that I was working with prior, and I thought that I honestly didn't know that it was something that I could obtain myself. I thought I had to use it through the consulting company
Yeah.
that I was working with. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to let the consulting company go for such a long time because I really liked the product itself. I really liked how everything was automated. I didn't have to worry about it. I didn't have to think about it. I knew that we're gonna have, drip campaigns going out. I didn't have to call, every single person every time a prospect came in or a lead, if you will, because as I'm sure you get into the hundreds of those, and that's a
Yep.
lot of phone calls that you're making right off the bat. And so after I fired the consultant company, I didn't have client tether for about 6 months. And I was thinking, I'm going to just reach out. I'm going to ask and see if I can be a part of it, if it's something that I could obtain myself. And that's what I did. And they were like, heck yeah, let's get you onboarded and get going. And it's been fantastic. I love it. I wouldn't
Yeah.
change it.
Great. What has been the most helpful feature or function or just part of it you feel like has really been beneficial for you or gives you the most value with it?
Well, my favorite part of it is the staff, to be honest with you, the
Huh.
support. I
Good.
have never sent out an email and not had an email returned. I
Yeah.
have never felt like I was a nuisance. I mean, it's the technology itself, not everybody can understand right away, myself included. I was confused a lot in the beginning. I had a lot of help from the staff, and now I feel almost like a pro, if you will. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I just talked to some of the staff yesterday. They're always responsive, they're always polite and great, and they help me with anything. So,
Good. Well, we really appreciate that. So thank you for your loyalty and for coming back too. That's great. As we kind of wrap this up, Luana, I want to ask you, how can people, if people are listening, they want to learn more about this brand, whether it's to be hired or maybe start up, their own location. How does that, process start? Do they go to your website and how can they reach you to get that whole process started?
yeah, they can definitely go to our website at teacupfulstores.com, fill out an inquiry form, and then we would reach out through our client tether platform first.
Yeah.
And then if they book a call with us, that's when we know that they're willing to take that first step and actually are serious about it. And so from that point on, we will hop on a call and learn a little bit about each other and go from there.
Sounds good. Well, hey, I think you're doing some great things, Luana, and I could see it's going to grow very well in the next few years. So I wish you all the best with that. And we're glad we could support you. So thanks again for being on the podcast. And if there's anything else we can ever do for you, please let me know. Okay.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Hey, this is Ryan with the Business Stories Podcast. And if you're a franchisor, franchise consultant, broker, or just a small business owner, you've got to check out clienttether.com. It's an amazing sales automation tool that is revolutionizing the industry. If you want to learn more, go to clienttether.com and inquire within.